Let the reading resume.
Additional facts. The autonomous province of Kosovo and Metohija is located in the southern part of the Republic of Serbia, a constituent republic of the FRY. The territory now comprising the FRY was part of the SFRY. The autonomous province of Kosovo and Metohija is bordered on the north and northwest by Montenegro, another constituent republic of the FRY. On the southwest, the autonomous province of Kosovo and Metohija is bordered by the Republic of Albania, and to the south by Macedonia. The capital of the autonomous province of Kosovo and Metohija is Pristina. In 1990, the Socialist Republic of Serbia promulgated a new constitution, which, among other things, changed the names of the republic and the autonomous provinces. The name of the Socialist Republic of Serbia was changed to the Republic of Serbia. The name of the Socialist Autonomous Province of Kosovo was changed to the Autonomous Province of Kosovo and Metohija. And the name of the Socialist Autonomous Province of Vojvodina was changed to the Autonomous Province of Vojvodina. During this same period, the Socialist Republic of Montenegro changed its name to the Republic of Montenegro. In 1974, a new SFRY constitution had provided for a devolution of power from the central government to the 6 constituent republics of the country. Within Serbia, Kosovo and Vojvodina were given considerable autonomy, including control of their educational systems, judiciary, and police. They were also given their own provincial assemblies and were represented in the Assembly, the Constitutional Court, and the presidency of the SFRY. In the 1981 census, the last census with near universal participation, the total population of Kosovo was approximately 1,585,000, of which 1,227,000, or rather 77%, were Albanians, and 210,000, or 13%, were Serbs. Only estimates for the population of Kosovo in 1991 are available because Kosovo Albanians boycotted the census administered that year. General estimates are that the population of Kosovo during the time period relevant to this indictment was between 1,800,000 and 2,100,000, of which approximately 85 to 90% were Kosovo Albanians and 5 to 10% were Serbs. During the 1980s, Serbs voiced concern about discrimination against them by the Kosovo Albanian-led provincial government, while Kosovo Albanians voiced concern about economic underdevelopment and called for greater political liberalization and republican status for Kosovo. From 1981 onwards, Kosovo Albanians staged demonstrations which were suppressed by the SFRY military and police forces of Serbia. In April 1987, Slobodan Milošević, who had been elected chairman of the Presidium of the Central Committee of the League of Communists of Serbia in 1986, traveled to Kosovo. In meetings with local Serb leaders and in a speech before a crowd of Serbs, Slobodan Milošević endorsed a Serbian nationalist agenda. In so doing, he broke with the party and government policy which had restricted nationalist expression in the SFRY since the time of its founding by Josip Broz Tito after the Second World War. Thereafter, Slobodan Milošević exploited a growing wave of Serbian nationalism in order to strengthen centralized rule in the SFRY. In September 1987, Slobodan Milošević and his supporters gained control of the Central Committee of the League of Communists of Serbia. In 1988, Slobodan Milošević was re-elected as chairman of the Presidium of the Central Committee of the League of Communists of Serbia. From that influential position, Slobodan Milošević was able to further develop his political power. From July 1988 to March 1989, a series of demonstrations and rallies supportive of Slobodan Milošević's policies, the so-called anti-bureaucratic revolution, took place in Vojvodina, Montenegro. These protests led to the ouster of the respective provincial and republican governments. The new governments were then supportive of and indebted to Slobodan Milošević. Simultaneously, within Serbia, calls for bringing Kosovo under stronger Serbian rule intensified, and numerous demonstrations addressing this issue were held. On the 17th of November 1988, high-ranking Kosovo-Albanian political figures were dismissed from their positions within the provincial leadership and were replaced by appointees loyal to Slobodan Milošević. In early 1989, the Serbian Assembly proposed amendments to the Constitution of Serbia, which would strip Kosovo of most of its autonomous powers, including control of the police, education and economic policy, and choice of official language, as well as its veto powers over further changes to the Constitution of Serbia. Kosovo Albanians demonstrated in large numbers against the proposed changes. Beginning in February 1989, a strike by Kosovo Albanian miners further increased tensions. Due to the political unrest, on March the 3rd, 1989, the SFRY presidency declared that the situation in the province had deteriorated and had become a threat to the constitution, integrity, and sovereignty of the country. The government then imposed special measures, which assigned responsibility for public security to the federal government instead of the government of Serbia. On the 23rd of March 1989, the Assembly of Kosovo met in Pristina, voted to accept the proposed amendments to the Constitution, and with the majority of Kosovo Albanian delegates abstaining. Although lacking the required two-thirds majority in the Assembly, the President of the Assembly nonetheless declared that the amendments had passed. On the 28th of March 1989, the Assembly of Serbia voted to approve the constitutional changes, effectively revoking the autonomy granted in the 1974 Constitution. At the same time these changes were occurring in Kosovo, Slobodan Milošević further increased his political power when he became the President of Serbia. Slobodan Milošević was elected President of the Presidency of Serbia on the 8th of May 1989, and his post was formally confirmed on the 6th of December 1989. In early 1990, Kosovo Albanians held mass demonstrations calling for an end to the special measures. In April 1990, the SFRY presidency lifted the special measures and removed most of the federal police forces as Serbia took over responsibility for police enforcement in Kosovo. In July 1990, the Assembly of Serbia passed a decision to suspend the Assembly of Kosovo. Shortly after, 114 of the 123 Kosovo Albanian delegates from that assembly had passed an unofficial resolution declaring Kosovo an equal and independent entity within the SFRY. In September 1990, many of these same Kosovo Albanian delegates proclaimed a constitution for a Republic of Kosovo. 1 year later, in September 1991, Kosovo Albanians held an unofficial referendum in which they voted overwhelmingly for independence. On the 24th of May, 1992, Kosovo Albanians held unofficial elections for an assembly and president for the Republic of Kosovo. On the 16th of July, 1990, the League of Communists of Serbia and the Socialist Alliance of Working People of Serbia joined to form the Socialist Party of Serbia, the SPS, and Slobodan Milošević was elected its president. As the successor to the League of Communists, the SPS became the dominant political party in Serbia, and Slobodan Milošević, as president of the SPS, was able to wield considerable power and influence over many branches of the government as well as the private sector. Milan Milutinović and Nikola Šajinović have both held prominent positions within the SPS. Nikola Šajinović was a member of the main committee of the Executive Council as well as a vice chairman, and Milan Milutinović successfully ran for president of Serbia in 1997 as the SPS candidate. After the adoption of the new constitution of Serbia on the 28th of September 1990, Slobodan Milošević was elected President of Serbia in multi-party elections held on the 9th and 26th of December 1990. He was re-elected on the 20th of December 1992. In December 1991, Nikola Šajinović was appointed a Deputy Prime Minister of Serbia. After Kosovo's autonomy was effectively revoked in 1989, the political situation in Kosovo became more and more divisive. Throughout late 1990 and 1991, thousands of Kosovo Albanian doctors, teachers, professors, workers, police, and civil servants were dismissed from their positions. The local court in Kosovo was abolished and many judges removed. Police violence against Kosovo Albanians increased. During this period, the unofficial Kosovo Albanian leadership pursued a policy of non-violent civil resistance and began establishing a system of unofficial parallel institutions in the healthcare and education sectors. In late June 1991, the SFRY began to disintegrate in a succession of wars fought in the Republic of Slovenia, the Republic of Croatia, and Bosnia-Herzegovina. On the 25th of June 1991, Slovenia declared its independence from the SFRY, which led to the outbreak of war. A peace agreement was reached on the 8th of July 1991. Croatia declared its independence on the 25th of June 1991, leading to fighting between Croatian military forces on the one side and the JNA paramilitary units and the Army of the Republic of Srpska Krajina on the other. On the 6th of March 1992, Bosnia and Herzegovina declared its independence, resulting in wide-scale war after the 6th of April 1992. On the 27th of April 1992, the SFRY was reconstituted as the FRY. At this time, the JNA was reorganized as the VJ. In the war in Bosnia and Herzegovina, the JNA and later the VJ fought along with the army of Republika Srpska against military forces of the government of Bosnia and Herzegovina and the Croat Defense Council. Active hostilities ceased with the signing of the Dayton Peace Agreement in December 1995. Although Slobodan Milošević was the president of Serbia during the wars in Slovenia, Croatia, and Bosnia and Herzegovina, he was nonetheless the dominant Serbian political figure exercising de facto control of the federal government as well as the Republican government, and was the person with whom the international community negotiated a variety of peace plans and agreements related to these wars. While the wars were being conducted in Slovenia, Croatia, and Bosnia and Herzegovina, The situation in Kosovo, while tense, did not erupt into the violence and intense fighting seen in the other countries. In the mid-1990s, however, a faction of the Kosovo Albanians organized a group known as Ushtria Qëllimtare e Kosovë, the UÇK, or known in English as the Kosovo Liberation Army. This group advocated a campaign of armed insurgency and violent resistance to the Serbian authorities. In mid-1996, the KLA began launching attacks primarily targeting Serbian police forces. Thereafter, and throughout 1997, Serbian police forces responded with forceful operations against suspected KLA bases and supporters in Kosovo. After concluding his term as President of Serbia, Slobodan Milošević was elected President of the FRY on the 15th of July 1997 and assumed office on the 23rd of July 1997. Thereafter, elections for the office of the President of Serbia were held. Milan Milutinović ran as the SPS candidate and was elected President of Serbia on the 21st of December 1997. In 1996, 1997 and 1998, Nikola Šajinović was reappointed Deputy Prime Minister of the FRY. In part, through his close alliance with Milan Milutinović, Slobodan Milošević was able to retain his influence over the government of Serbia. Beginning in late February 1998, the conflict intensified between the KLA on the one hand and the forces of the FRY in Serbia on the other. A number of Kosovo Albanians and Kosovo Serbs were killed and wounded during this time. Forces of the FRY in Serbia engaged in a campaign of shelling predominantly Kosovo Albanian towns and villages, widespread destruction of property, and expulsions of the civilian population from areas in which the KLA was active. Many residents fled the territory as a result of the fighting and destruction, or were forced to move to other areas within Kosovo. The United Nations estimates that by mid-October 1998, over 298,000 persons, roughly 15% of the population, had been internally displaced within Kosovo or had left the province. In response to the intensifying conflict, the United Nations Security Council, or the UNSC, passed Resolution 1160 in March 1998, condemning the use of excessive force by Serbian police forces against civilians and peaceful demonstrations in Kosovo, and imposed an arms embargo on the import of weapons into the FRY. 6 months later, the UNCS passed Resolution 1199, dating to 1998, which stated that the deterioration of the situation in Kosovo, Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, constitutes a threat to peace and security in the region. The Security Council demanded that all parties cease hostilities and that the security forces used for civilian repression be withdrawn. In an attempt to diffuse tensions in Kosovo, negotiations between Slobodan Milošević and representatives of NATO and the OSCE were conducted in October 1998. An agreement on the OSCE Kosovo verification mission was signed on the 16th of October 1998. This agreement and the Clark-Naumann Agreement, which was signed by Nikola Šajinović, provided for the partial withdrawal of forces of the FRY and Serbia from Kosovo, a limitation on the introduction of additional forces and equipment into the area, and the deployment of unarmed OSCE verifiers. Although scores of OSCE verifiers were deployed throughout Kosovo, hostilities continued. During this period, international verifiers and human rights organizations documented a number of killings of Kosovo Albanians. In one such incident, on the 15th of January 1999, 45 unarmed Kosovo Albanians were murdered in the village of Račak in the municipality of Štimlje. In a further response to the continuing conflict in Kosovo, an international peace conference was organized in Rambouillet, France, beginning on the 7th of February 1999. Nikola Šajinović, the Deputy Prime Minister of the FRY, was a member of the Serbian delegation at the peace talks, and Milan Milutinović, President of Serbia, was also present during the negotiations. The Kosovo Albanians were represented by the KLA and a delegation of Kosovo Albanian political and civic leaders. Despite intensive negotiations over several weeks, the peace talks collapsed in mid-March 1999. During the peace negotiations in France, the violence in Kosovo continued. In late February and early March, forces of the FRY in Serbia launched a series of offensives against dozens of predominantly Kosovo Albanian villages and towns. The FRY military forces were comprised of elements of the VJ's Third Army, specifically the 52nd Corps, also known as the Pristina Corps, and several brigades and regiments under the command of the Pristina Corps. At all times relevant to this indictment, the Chief of the General Staff of the VJ, with command responsibilities over the Third Army and ultimately over the 52nd Corps, was Colonel General Dragoljub Ojdanić. At all times relevant to this indictment, the Supreme Commander of the VJ was Slobodan Milošević.
The police forces taking part in the actions in Kosovo were members of the MUP. At all times relevant to this indictment, all police forces employed by or working under the authority of the MUP were commanded by Vlajko Stojiljković, Minister of Internal Affairs of Serbia. Under the FRY law on defense, those police forces engaged in military operations during a state of war or imminent threat of war are subordinated to the command of the VJ, whose commanders at all times relevant to this indictment were Colonel General Dragoljub Ojdanić and Slobodan Milošević. During their offensives, forces of the FRY and Serbia, acting in concert, engaged in a well-planned and coordinated campaign of destruction of property owned by Kosovo Albanian civilians. Towns and villages were shelled. Homes, farms, and businesses were burnt, and personal property destroyed. As a result of these orchestrated actions, towns, villages, and entire regions were made uninhabitable for Kosovo Albanians. Additionally, forces of the FRY in Serbia harassed, humiliated, and degraded Kosovo Albanian civilians through physical and verbal abuse. The Kosovo Albanians were also persistently subjected to insults, racial slurs, degrading acts based on ethnicity and religion, beatings, and other forms of physical mistreatment. The unlawful deportation and forcible transfer of thousands of Kosovo Albanians from their homes in Kosovo involved well-planned and coordinated efforts by the leaders of the FRY in Serbia and forces of the FRY in Serbia, all acting in concert. Actions similar in nature took place during the wars in Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina between 1991 and 1995. During those wars, Serbian military, paramilitary, and police forces forcibly expelled and deported non-Serbs in Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina from areas under Serbian control, utilizing the same method of operations as were used in Kosovo in 1999. Heavy shelling and armed attacks on villages, widespread killings, destruction of non-Serbian residential areas and cultural and religious sites, and forced transfer and deportation of non-Serbian populations. On the 24th of March 1999, NATO began launching airstrikes against targets in the FRY. The FRY issued decrees of an imminent threat of war on the 23rd of March 1999 and a state of war on the 24th of March 1999. After the airstrikes commenced, forces of the FRY in Serbia intensified their widespread or systematic campaign and forcibly expelled hundreds of thousands of Kosovo Albanians from Kosovo. In addition to the forced expulsions of Kosovo Albanians, forces of the FRY and Serbia also engaged in a number of killings of Kosovo Albanians since the 24th of March 1999. Such killings occurred at numerous locations, including, but not limited to, Bela Crkva, Mala Kruša, Velika Kruša, Đakovica, Padalište, Izbica, Vučitrn, Meja, the Dubrava prison, Suva Reka, and Kačanik. By June 1999, more than 800,000 Kosovo Albanians, about one-third of the entire Kosovo Albanian population, had been expelled from Kosovo. Thousands more were believed to be internally displaced. An unknown number of Kosovo Albanians were killed in the operations conducted by forces of the FRY in Serbia. On the 3rd of June 1999, the FRY and Serbia accepted a document of principles towards a resolution of the crisis in Kosovo, which was presented to their representatives by Marti Ahtisaari, representing the European Union, and Viktor Chernomirdin, special representative of the President of the Russian Federation. That document, which was followed by Security Council 1244 from 1999, provided for a political solution to the Kosovo crisis, including an immediate end to violence and a rapid withdrawal of FRY and Serbian military, police, and paramilitary forces, and the deployment of international civil and security presence in Kosovo under United Nations auspices. On the 9th of June 1999, the military technical agreement was signed between NATO, represented by General Sir Michael Jackson, and representatives of the VJ and the MUP, providing for the withdrawal of all forces of the FRY in Serbia from Kosovo. Under the terms of the military technical agreement, the NATO bombing campaign against targets in the FRY would terminate upon the complete withdrawal of forces of the FRY and Serbia. On the 20th of June 1999, the KFOR, the Kosovo Force, announced that the withdrawal of forces of the FRY and Serbia from the territory of Kosovo was complete.
It remains on this indictment for the new count 2 to be put to the accused for him to enter a plea. Slobodan Milosevic, the new count 2 charges in relation to the Kosovo Albanians who were internally displaced. You, with other inhumane acts, forcible transfer, punishable under Article 5I of the Statute of the Tribunal. To that count, how do you plead? Guilty or not guilty?
I wish to say to you that the very text that we have just heard in itself shows that the indictment is false, and also that the evidence looked for by Mr. Robinson in connection with the impartiality of that indictment and the prosecution for two reasons. First of all, the parties to the conflict are being changed.
Not here to hear argument at the moment. The only matter is for you to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. In the event, don't interrupt. In the event of your not entering a plea, the trial chamber has a power to enter a plea of not guilty. That we will do. You will have an opportunity, as you know quite well, Mr. Milosevic, to address us at other times. Enter a plea of not guilty to that count. Yes. We shall move on to the next part of the hearing. So, Mr. Milosevic, you will have your opportunity, as I've said, to address us. Now is not the time. The only matter for you to do was to enter a plea. Now that has been dealt with. We will move on to the next part of the hearing, which concerns the reading of the Croatian indictment. Will we? Mr. Milosevic, will you be quiet, please? We'll go on to the next matter, which is the hearing of the Croatian indictment and the initial appearance on that. Yes, Mr. Vladimir.
If it may please the court, may I assume that the court takes the absence of a plea as a plea of not guilty?
Yes, if I didn't say so, I make it plain it's a plea of not guilty.
The prosecutor of the tribunal against Slobodan Milošević indictment. The prosecutor of the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, pursuant to her authority under Article 18 of the Statute of the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, the Statute of the Tribunal, charges Slobodan Milošević with crimes against humanity, grave breaches of the Geneva Conventions, and violations of the laws or customs of war as set forth below. The accused. Slobodan Milošević, son of Svetozar Milošević, was born on the 20th of August 1941 in Požarevac, in present-day Serbia. In 1964, he graduated from the law faculty of the University of Belgrade and began a career in management and banking. Until 1978, he held the posts of deputy director and later general director at Tehnogas, a major oil company in the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. Thereafter, he became president of Beogradska banka, Beobanka, one of the largest banks in the SFRY, a post he held until 1983. Slobodan Milošević joined the League of Communists of Yugoslavia in 1959. In 1984, he became chairman of the City Committee of the League of Communists of Belgrade. In 1986, he was elected chairman of the Presidium of the Central Committee of the League of Communists of Serbia and was re-elected in 1988. On the 16th of July, 1990, the League of Communists of Serbia and the Socialist Alliance of Working People of Serbia united, forming a new party named the Socialist Party of Serbia, or the SPS. On the 17th of July, 1990, Slobodan Milošević was elected president of the SPS and has remained in that post until the present day, except during the period from the 24th of May 1991 to the 24th of October 1992. Slobodan Milošević was elected president of the presidency of the then Socialist Republic of Serbia on the 8th of May 1989 and re-elected on the 5th of December 1989. After the adoption of the new constitution on the 28th of September 1990, the Socialist Republic of Serbia became the Republic of Serbia, and Slobodan Milošević was elected to the newly established office of President of the Republic of Serbia in multi-party elections held in December 1990. He was re-elected to this office in elections held on the 20th of December 1992. After serving 2 terms as President of the Republic of Serbia, Slobodan Milošević was elected President of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, that is of FRY, on the 15th of July 1997, beginning his official duties on the 23rd of July 1997. Following his defeat in the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia's presidential election of September 2000, Slobodan Milošević relinquished his position on the 6th of October 2000. Individual criminal responsibility. Article 7.1 of the Statute of the Tribunal. Slobodan Milošević is individually criminally responsible for the crimes referred to in Articles 2, 3, and 5 of the Statute of the Tribunal and described in this indictment, which he planned, instigated, ordered, committed, or in whose planning, preparation, or execution he otherwise aided and abetted. By using the word committed in this indictment, the prosecutor does not intend to suggest that the accused physically committed any of the crimes charged personally. Committing in this indictment refers to participation in a joint criminal enterprise as co-perpetrator. Slobodan Milošević participated in a joint criminal enterprise as set out in paragraphs 24 to 26. The purpose of this joint criminal enterprise was the forcible removal of the majority of the Croat and other non-Serb population from approximately 1/3 of the territory of the Republic of Croatia that he planned to become part of a new Serb-dominated state through the commission of crimes in violation of Articles 2, 3, and 5 of the Statute of the Tribunal. These areas included those regions that were referred to by Serb authorities and are hereinafter referred to as the Serbian Autonomous District, the SAO Krajina, and the SAO Western Slavonia, and the SAO Slavonia, Baranja and Western Srem, collectively referred to by Serb authorities after the 19th of September 1991 as the Republic of Serbian Krajina, that is the RSK, and the Dubrovnik Republic. This joint criminal enterprise came into existence before the 1st of August 1991 and continued until at least June 1992. Individuals participating in this joint criminal enterprise included Slobodan Milošević, Boris Saviović, Branko Kostić, Veljko Kadijević, Blagoje Adžić, Milan Babić, Milan Martić, Goran Hadžić, Jovica Stanišić, Franko Simatović, also known as Frankie, Tomislav Simović, Vojislav Šešelj, Momir Bulatović, Aleksandar Vasiljević, Radovan Stojčić, also known as Bađa, Željko Ražnjatović, also known as Arkan, and other known and unknown participants. The crimes enumerated in counts 1 to 32 of this indictment were within the object of the joint criminal enterprise. Alternatively, the crimes enumerated in counts 1 to 13 and 17 to 32 were the natural and foreseeable consequences of the execution of the object of the joint criminal enterprise, and the accused was aware that such crimes were the possible outcome of the execution of the joint criminal enterprise. In order for the joint criminal enterprise to succeed in its objective, Slobodan Milošević worked in concert with or through several individuals in the joint criminal enterprise. Each participant or co-perpetrator within the joint criminal enterprise played his own role or roles that significantly contributed to the overall objective of the enterprise. Paragraphs 10 to 23 relate to other persons. That is why the indictment will be read as of paragraph 24 onwards. From 1987 until late 2000, Slobodan Milošević was the dominant political figure in Serbia. He acquired control of all facets of the Serbian government, including the police and other state security services. In addition, he gained control over the political leaders of Kosovo, Vojvodina, and Montenegro. In his capacity as the President of Serbia and through his leading position in the SPS party, Slobodan Milošević exercised effective control or substantial influence over the above-listed participants in the joint criminal enterprise, and either alone or acting in concert with them and additional known and unknown persons, effectively controlled or substantially influenced the actions of the Federal Presidency of the SFRY and later the FRY, the Serbian Ministry of Internal Affairs, the MUP, the JNA, the Serb-run TO staff in the territories subject to this indictment, as well as Serb volunteer groups. Slobodan Milošević, acting alone and in concert with other members of the joint criminal enterprise, participated in the joint criminal enterprise in the following ways. A. Provided direction and assistance to the political leadership of the SAO SBWS and the SAO Western Slavonia, the SAO Krajina, and the RSK on the takeover of these areas and the subsequent forcible removal of the Croat and other non-Serb population. B. Provided financial, material, and logistical support for the regular and irregular military forces necessary for the takeover of these areas and the subsequent forcible removal of the Croat and other non-Serb population. C. Directed organs of the government of the Republic of Serbia to create armed forces separate from the federal armed forces to engage in combat activities outside the Republic of Serbia, in particular in the said areas in Croatia, and the subsequent forcible removal of the Croat and other non-Serb population. D. Participated in the formation, financing, supply, support, and direction of special forces of the Republic of Serbia, Ministry of Internal Affairs. These special forces were created and supported to assist in the execution of the purpose of the joint criminal enterprise through the commission of crimes which are in violation of Articles 2, 3, and 5 of the Statute of the Tribunal. E. Participated in providing financial, logistical, and political support and direction to Serbian irregular forces and paramilitaries. Such support was given in furtherance of the joint criminal enterprise through the commission of crimes which are in violation of Articles 2, 3, and 5 of the Statute of the Tribunal. F. Participated in the planning and preparation of the takeover of the SAO SBWS, the SAO Western Slavonia, the SAO Krajina, and the Dubrovnik Republic, and the subsequent forcible removal of the Croat and other non-Serb population. G. Exerted effective control or substantial influence over the JNA, which participated in the planning, preparation, and execution of the forcible removal of the Croat and other non-Serb population from the SAO SBWS, the SAO Western Slavonia, the SAO Krajina, and the Dubrovnik Republic. H. Provided financial, logistical, and political support to TO units and Serb volunteer units acting in the SAO SBWS, the SAO Western Slavonia, the SAO Krajina, and the Dubrovnik Republic, which assisted in the execution of the purpose of the joint criminal enterprise through the commission of crimes which are in violation of Articles 2, 3, and 5 of the Statute of the Tribunal. I. Effectively ordered the passage of laws and regulations relative to the involvement of the JNA, the TO, and Serb volunteer units in Croatia. J. Directed, commanded, controlled, or otherwise provided substantial assistance or support to the JNA, the Serb-run TO staff, and volunteer forces deployed in the SAO SBWS, the SAO Western Slavonia, the SAO Krajina, and the Dubrovnik Republic, engaged in the execution of the purpose of the joint criminal enterprise through the commission of crimes which are in violation of Articles 2, 3, and 5 of the Statute of the Tribunal.